What up, Josh? What up, E Brown? Rudy? Hey, John. Hey, those the gun liners and some of the stuff that's out of stock. You'll see those come back into stock later this month and then next month. But yeah, sold a lot more than we thought we were going to. But we're getting those. I'm just scuffing this down. So we've had this is just a rear fender to that bagger that I worked on. I think it was last week or the week before. Definitely not last week, the week before. Where I did the Marilyn Monroe on the side of the tank in metal flake, and we did some other designs. This is the rear tail section of that bike. So basically, I've had people ask me about how to lay out the graphics on fenders, especially on baggers. So that's what we're going to go ahead and do here. We're going to go ahead and match this up to what we have over there. Going to be using some LimeLine tape. We're going to be using, I'm using this pad right now, a 600 grit sanding sponge. We have some LimeLine metal flake that's applied with 4 coats of clear over that, and it's been scuffed down. So I'm just scuffing it down one more time and going to clean it up before we get down and start laying graphics. This has been sitting for a couple of months like this, so you want to make sure that you hit it again with some kind of a sanding sponge or 600 grit or whatever. You need to put a grit back into it. Once something's been cleared and sanded, the clear will actually kind of self-heal itself. So you could run into some adhesion problems of your base coats or whatever graphic colors you're putting on top. Could have some adhesion problems there. So we're scuffing it down. Making sure we're hitting the edges. There we go. Where did my glass cleaner go? Did you see what I did with that? Oh, it's right here. I'm just going to hit this with glass cleaner because it's already been waxed and greased with wax and grease remover. We're just going to get the sanding residue off here. Okay, looks pretty clean. Looks like there's some bolts in here. I don't know what the heck they're still doing in here. I'm just going to go ahead and tape them off. For some reason, maybe they need to be there. I don't know. Usually you would try to uninstall any kind of hardware like that so it doesn't get in your way when you're painting and then when you're cutting and polishing. But no biggie. We're just going to go ahead and tape this up with some masking tape. All right. Okay, looks like there was 4 of them, so got those masked up. I don't think there's anything else. We'll go ahead and get ready to start laying this baby out. All right, I'm gonna start with some 1/8 inch. That's usually what I start with is 1/8 inch LimeLine. And what I'll do is to start things out is I like to um, lay a piece of tape right down the center because we're going to be matching the graphic from one side to the other. Not exactly sure what I'm going to be doing on this yet, but I know I need to put down that center line, and I know I'm going to start off by paneling out these little like side filler gaps that are kind of molded in. So basically I'll run that center line and we'll kind of go from there. All right, we got that. All right, like I said, I was going to go ahead and panel these out to start. So maybe I'll go ahead and start by doing that. So I ran that piece kind of just right into that fold. What I'll do is I'll butt it up over here, pretty close to the edge, maybe a 1/16 inch away. Not pulling too hard on the tape, especially around the corners. You just want to gently just bend that up and around. So when you're rolling your tape up and around the edges, you can choose to either stop the tape and cut it like we're doing here, or you can just kind of roll it around. There's some points right here, but I decided just to roll that around. I feel like it looks just as good. Grab an X-Acto blade. Trim that out. Same thing here. Okay, that's looking good. We'll go ahead and match what we have here on the other side. Scooch you in a little closer. All right, once again, we're just going to run this along the fold right there. Once again, I'm going to match this side, so I'm just going to roll it right around. Some tight quarters right there, but we got it. Wait a minute. What did I do here? Whoops. That's not right. See how... Oh, yeah, I did not do that right. See, the last one I took this bend and went all the way down. That's not correct. Let's go ahead and pull that. Bend that around. still able to use the same piece of tape. I just kind of just pulled it off and reused it, so we should be okay. If we put any like serious kinks in it, we would want to not use that piece. Lay down something new, but I think we're okay here. Bless you.
Thank you.
Ah, that's the most we heard from you. Nobody's asking any questions or nothing? Oh, it's a quiet night.
Yeah, it is. Until I sneeze.
Now everybody's going to say, oh, gosh, he's on, so we're going to start talking. Forget this guy. All right, so just trimming that up to a point.
Thank you.
And then same thing here. All right. There we go. Get back to the bird's eye view here. Okay, looking good. Paneled that one out, paneled this one out. We got the center line. So far, so good. Keep going on this thing. Still not sure what I'm going to do. I know I'm going to... Okay, so he does have... So the only other piece that's painted on this bike is the tank. Pretty much this rear fender is going to determine what's going to happen on the front fender, maybe even the saddlebags, but that really doesn't matter as much at this point. I haven't designed out the whole bike. A lot of people ask me, do you draw it out? What's the process? Basically, how I start is I do the fuel tank to start. Get the fuel tank done, and then I'll kind of match it up with whatever's going on that. So on the fuel tank, we have it paneled out on both sides. We have the portrait on one side. We have the Harley Davidson emblem on the other side. So basically, we just need to match something that's going to look normal. It's going to look like it belongs with the rest of the bike. So it does have a dash. So that's the reason why I say that. The tank has a dash. So there's a chrome dash that goes across the center. Let me make sure that I don't have that dash. Okay. The reason why I say that is because some people opt to paint the dash and it's metal flaked. So in that case, I would probably match something I got going on the dash that's painted. But I already know that there's just going to be a chrome dash that's on that tank, and it's about that thick. Yeah, it's about as thick as this license plate. So that's probably where this license plate hole right here, I guess that's what it is, tail light hole. So yeah, I'll probably, the dash is about that big. I'll do a strip about that big. I'll probably fill it in with some kind of a graphic. Not figuring it out quite yet, but once we get going, maybe we'll figure that out. But yeah, maybe up here I'll do something a little different. I don't know. See, I'm just kind of just brainstorming ideas, just kind of babbling off of what's kind of coming off the top of my head. But for sure, that's what I knew I wanted to do, was panel those out and then kind of go from there. So I think that's what I'm going to go ahead and do, is I'm going to lay out 2 more strips of 1/8 inch, because once again, I start with the 1/8 inch, do everything that I'm going to do as far as the design goes in the 1/8 inch, and then I'll complement the 1/8 inch lines with a 1/16 inch next to it. That's how I do it. That's not how you have to do it, but it seems to work pretty good, especially if you're new. It gives you somewhere to aim for once you go to airbrush and create those blends, which we'll be doing a little bit later. Seems like a lot of work to get to that point, but really we're going to get going on this pretty fast. All right. So I know I'm going to want that thickness right there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to run a strip right there and an 1/8 inch strip right there. So I'm just going to kind of eyeball it here, line that up with that. See, you can see how that would obviously be crooked. You'd be crooked there. I'm kind of hovering the tape line over the top. You could measure this out as well, but just eyeballing it is usually good enough. Even if you're new, you should be able to eyeball it. So I got that stuck down. Looks like a pretty straight line to me. And then I'm going to run this all the way down. Damn, this fender is long. Crap. All right, I got to double check that because that's such a long fender. I wasn't expecting that. Okay, here we go.
So Rob's on here, and he's holding a class in May.
Yes, I was going to mention that.
Yeah, on the 20th and the 21st. He said it's in Albuquerque. It's a lowrider patterns class. So if you guys want to hit him up, check out that class. Adam did it. He said it was fun and awesome. So.
Yep. Yeah. So once again, if you're any of you guys that may be in the New Mexico area, Albuquerque area, or maybe even surrounding states, Rob, like she said, Rob is having a entry-level course that's going to teach you the same stuff. It's going to be a little bit different, his kind of style, but it's going to get you to the same place. It's going to allow you to be able to expand your skills and maybe make some money. So once again, say the date once again, Ash, on that.
May 20th and 21st.
Okay, so May 20th and 21st. You just hit up Rob. Oh, there goes my tape. I think it just ran away.
I saw it just roll.
So yeah, you hit up Rob Vanderslice. You just look up Vanderslice on Instagram. You'll be able to find him, or here on YouTube, you also find him as well.
I have a couple questions that came in. Are you ready for some?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, someone said, "Hey, I'm curious how to paint over chrome. Do I need to use epoxy primer?"
That's a good question. So now, if you want it kind of depends on what you're doing and what your expectations are. If you're wanting it to be bulletproof, you would want to go with an epoxy primer on that. And then you'd want to top it off with a sandable primer. Is it necessary? Probably not. One thing that is necessary is you do need to sand that chrome down with at least a in my opinion, a 400 grit, and then lay down the primer on top of that. You're going to need a good etch into that chrome in order to get it to stick. The reason why I say you might not need epoxy sticks like crazy. It's given the name, so everybody knows that epoxy glue, epoxy anything is just going to be really durable and really hard. So yeah, using the epoxy, it's going to stick better. But the one thing is, it does not build very high, and it's not sandable, really. You can't really sand it down to make it smooth. But it does have its place. It kind of depends on what you're expecting, your expectations are, how long you want it to last and stuff like that. But either way, it would work. But yeah, the more bulletproof way would be to lay down an epoxy primer, and then scuff that down, and then lay down a sandable or a polyester primer. And then after that, you'd move on to paint, sand, and then move on to paint.
And then someone said, "Why do you prefer glass cleaner after wax and grease remover versus just using wax and grease all the time?"
Well, wax and grease remover just removes wax and grease and other contaminants that are similar to wax and grease. It's not really meant for removing sanding residue and waterborne contaminants, especially when you first start working on a project and you're getting ready to sand it. You'd want to definitely wash it with a wax and grease remover, get all that off, and then hit it with the glass cleaner and make sure you're getting off any of the your waterborne contaminants, which could be bug splatter, could be anything, but it works well on sanding residue. But it's not going to clean up wax and grease. That's what the wax and grease remover is for. All right, I'm kind of eyeballing this and make sure it looks all right. It's a little wacky in the back, but you can't see any of that once it's mounted. In fact, you're not going to see any of this. But we still do it. We still paint it. Okay, that looks good. What we'll go ahead and do is I'm going to remove, actually, we'll go ahead and leave the center line. Instead of leaving a gap that big, what I'm going to go ahead and do is run another couple sets of lines on both sides and then curve them in and meet them right here, and then maybe run another one right off of that. So let's see what we can do here.
Someone said they got the car hood from you and they painted a Cancer Survivor Superman logo on it. Turned out pretty good.
Really? That's awesome. Yeah, send me some pictures. I'd love to see it.
Someone said, do you like that tape better than a 3M fine line green?
Yeah, I didn't know that 3M had, the paper, I guess. Yes, I do like it better than the paper tape by 3M. It is, because this is a vinyl masking. It's going to give you a crisper line.
Someone said, are you going to be doing any classes in Utah?
It'll be a while until I do one here in Utah.
And someone said, do a short video tutorial for basics of shading techniques they're wanting to see. And then someone said, what's the best way to airbrush a skateboard deck?
I guess to airbrush it or to prep it. I guess that's the answer. That question is how to prep it. But yeah, you scuff it down. Depends. If you're gonna metal flake it, then I would scuff it down, spray down black base coat, and hit it with metal flake. That's what I would do to start. And then scuff that down, and then same thing here. And then you'd be at this stage. You wouldn't even have to lay out primer at that point.
And then someone said, is it better just to sandblast chrome to get ready for paint?
Yeah, that would be a good idea. That wouldn't hurt. But corrosion, keeping corrosion away from it, because that plating obviously holds that back. So, maybe not. But yeah, people do that all the time, for sure.
Larry just sent you $20 super chat. Said thank you very much. Appreciate all you guys do.
Yeah, thanks, Larry. Appreciate that, man.
Yeah, thank you, Larry.
He's always comes back every week. He was probably even here last week when we weren't here. Larry's, hey, oh man, I forgot. No, yeah, a lot of these guys have been around since we've been doing this, which we probably, I think we have around, well, total I have around about 100 videos on YouTube, counting the lives and the abbreviated versions that I do after them. And we just about have 100,000 subscribers. So yeah, I appreciate that. It's been a lot of work, but I love showing people how to do this, and it's not really that hard, as y'all can see. All right, I'm gonna pull that. And then I'm gonna go ahead and cut and pull out this center line too.
Larry said true story.
Yeah, I knew it, Larry.
And then Upgirl just sent you $10 super chat.
Oh, badass. I haven't heard that name before. Awesome. Hey, thank you. I appreciate that. Yep. Oh, what's going on here? Kind of making a mess of things here. Okay, there we go. What is... Jeez. It's a little sloppy. Okay, we'll go ahead and leave that. I'll kind of just pull that off. All right, what I'll go ahead and do is, I plan on running 2 more lines and maybe just run them right off the edge here. Once again, just lining it up with that center line. Okay, so something pretty important that that I probably want to point out, and I've kind of showed it before. So you see how we're trying to match this side to this side, and I just want to show you where my eyes are looking when I'm laying down this tape. So if you see this negative space we have right here, just a triangle, and then it comes down to the center line right here. When we hover this tape up on top right here, what we're looking at is they look like cat ears. You can see them right here, right there, and right there. You see them, Ash? Little cat ears.
Yep.
So say this cat ear was like, it was like a tomcat that had like one big ear, you know. So that's obviously not going to look right. You see if I lay that out right there, and I can see right here, this looks pretty good. Like here looks about like it does here. So I'm gonna go ahead and lay that out. But if you look right here, like, oh, something's off. You know, even if you trim it, you're like something's off. You can see right here where this point and this point right here is not matching. Those ears aren't matching up. And if we were to lay out a center line right here, exactly how far that's off from here to here. So what I'll do is I'll just take this and we'll pull it off. And we're just going to line it up and see how, let's see, right there. At that point and that point, then I'm met up, and now the cat ears, that's what we'll call them, they now match up. We'll run this straight down. We'll trim the ends of the tape there. Boom. There we go. Now it's even on both sides. Pretty even. Enough. I'm telling you, once these little details, if they're not exact and you're worried about it, once you pull everything off, as long as they're close, it's going to look, nobody's really going to notice. It's going to be really hard to be able to see stuff like that. All right, and I'll go ahead and let's see what I was going to do here. I wasn't really sure. I may end up doing some sort of a mural back here. I'm going to leave it until this goes through another round of clear. Yeah, I'll show you. We'll go ahead and I'm going to go ahead and leave that blank. So pull off this center line, and then something's going to go right. Not sure what yet. Once again, like I said, I don't figure these out from start to finish. I just kind of go and, you know, work on them a little bit, see what looks good, what doesn't. So far, I'm liking what's going on here, so I'm going to keep rolling with it. All right, so what I'm going to do is, so I got that kind of working my way out. I'll go ahead and one more line right here. Let me take a look at that.
Roman sent you a $50 super chat and said, thanks for all that IG help.
Yeah, thanks. I think I remember talking to him. I respond to a lot of questions on. If you guys are looking for Get Your Answers question, Instagram's the best way to get a hold of me.
Answers question?
Oh, yeah. Your answer? Did I say that?
Yep.
Oh. If you're looking, you know what I mean.
Thanks, Roman, for the $50 super chat. So.
$50. That's crazy. Thank you so much. Let me know if I can help you out any other way.
I got another question coming. So someone said, what's a good general rule?
Let's see. What's a good general rule for...
Oh, hold on. You're on our overhead speaker.
Loud.
There we go.
Dang. I hate to hear my own voice. What's a good general rule for minimum and maximum coats of U-pull clear with graphics in between each session of clear? He says, I'm afraid I'm going overboard with 16 coats on a part over 4 clear sessions.
Yeah, you know, it happens sometimes. Sometimes you just got to take it there. I wouldn't worry about it too much. I've done more than that, even with the U-pull. You have to remember that stuff lays out pretty thin. So, you know, your U-pull is not going to equal to what maybe, 12 to 16 coats of regular clear coat would be. But man, we break a lot of rules when it comes to custom paint. And that's one rule that we break a lot is the thickness and the mill thickness of the paint.
So is there a good general rule for minimum and maximum coats of it?
I don't even, to be honest with you, I don't even think about it. I've never had a problem with too many coats. Say like they get a rock chip and the rock chip was pretty gnarly and it gouged into the paint. Well, there's more paint there that could cause a deeper rock chip, which could cause more problems. Other than that, keeping the paint thin is always a good idea if you can. But I don't do it. I don't even think about it. If like something needs another round of clear coat, I just do it. I put it back through. I always have for the last 20 years. I've had stuff with like 25 coats, maybe 30 coats. I know with that tinfoil, I put down probably 40 coats. And still, we really haven't had a problem, So I don't know how much of it is untrue. There's always downfalls of certain stuff, but I think with custom paint, sometimes you just have to, you just have to build up the thickness, especially when it comes to candy, because you need the UV protection. And yeah, so I wouldn't worry about it. I never have. So just keep coating, don't do it unnecessarily. But yeah, I think everything that I do goes through 4 rounds of clear coat, because I definitely like to keep myself to the next level. I end up usually, I'll find stuff sometimes like it didn't really like it, so I'll have to, fix it, put it back through clear coat. It's no big deal. So I wouldn't stress about that at all.
Then someone said, have you ever finished a set of tins and realized after that you didn't like the outcome?
Yeah, I'm just trying to remember what it was. Usually it's something that it wasn't my idea. So yeah, there has been stuff. That a long time ago, and I'm like, oh man, I didn't just not want to do that in the first place, and then it wasn't good. But yeah, there's always stuff that I don't like nowadays. Now I don't really do customers work all that often, every now and again, but I'll pick up jobs that I know that I'll like. Hey, it's getting windy out there. Okay, so I laid out 2 more lines you can see right here. And we're going to go ahead and I'm not sure if I'm going to do it in this session. I think we might be able to get to it. We're definitely going to be laying some paint out. But there are going to be 2 strips of leaf that's going to go down this section right here. And like I said before, something else will go right here. Not sure. I'm going to go ahead and put these through clear, and we'll decide that later. So this one will, to go back to that question, this particular fender and the rest of these parts will have just as much as he was talking about, if not more than 4 rounds of clear coat. It's just, there's too many elements in this when it comes to, candy paint, when it comes to line work, when it comes to especially the silver leaf, because basically once you do the silver leaf, you need to throw it back into clear coat, not clear base coat, back into 2K, so you can build that up, let that chemically harden. That way you can sand it smooth, not sand it off, and then you could rework on top of that layer. All right, let's see what we got going on the side of this thing. Looks like we got another style line right here. I'll go ahead and let's see, the bag's right there. That's where the lace is going to be.
said got here a little late, but look.
Oh yeah. Oh, this is Darren's fender, by the way. So we're gonna put a wiener in there for him. All right, looking good so far. Trying to decide right here, what are we gonna do? So the bag does mount up to right there. I feel like it is still going to one more line or something going on right here. So let's go ahead and there we go. Let's get this back in the picture here. All right.
AJ said, I appreciate you teaching us all this information. I'm 55 and I learned so much.
Yeah, badass. Yeah, you're never too old to learn. Really, you can nail this stuff down in the matter of like 6 months. Really, I've seen people in 6 months putting out work. For sure. I'm just kind of sure what's gonna work out.
It's kind of glitching. Hopefully it's not the weather.
Okay, I'm liking that. I'm gonna go ahead and come right off of this edge right here. I think I'm liking this. Let's go ahead and lay this down and see what it looks like. Oh yeah, I'm liking that. That'll work. Can remember that kind of ended up right here, a little bit past the center of the tail light lens hole right here. Side. Let me get a better look at this here.
Someone said, Ron said your tape is truly inspirationally motivating.
Thanks, I appreciate that. Right now I'm sweating.
You need me to open the window.
We gotta turn on the fan here in a minute, but no, we're good. We're good. I just can't see both sides at the same time. I'm not sure if I'm laying down that stripe right or not. Trying to keep the camera on it. Okay, here we go. Let's see if we're happy with this or not. Let's see right there. Okay, yeah. Yeah. All right, that's all right. Okay. I do want to slim these down just a little bit too. So I'm going to run one more tape line about half an inch. Same thing here, about a half an inch. And then, I might just run this one straight off the edge right here. I'm just making this up as I go. I really don't even, like, I was planning on doing the same thing here, but I thought, oh, maybe I'll just like dip it right down underneath that line, and I like it. So I'll just go ahead and keep that. Trim this up to a point. We could even have rolled that, you know, and made that a roll. So there'd be a point here and a roll here. That looks really good. But you can do it however, you know, I felt like doing it that way. But we do probably want to match it the same on the other side. Like, don't get all crazy and thinking that maybe you can do something different over here and it's going to look good. And it might, I don't know. Usually keeping it the same is the way to go. If you know, if you're cutting it down the center, you could always do this particular paint job and make it, you know, cut it down the center like sideways and do something different from this side to that side. I don't know. There's a lot of different stuff, but this, we plan on making it the same on both sides. That's what we're going to do. So once again, 1/2 inch, roughly about a 1/2 inch all the way across.
Someone said, hey, Adam asked last time if the spray glue will help hold down the foil. He said, I tried it and it worked out good. I sent a couple of pics to your Instagram. Take a look when you get a chance.
Oh, really? Badass. Yeah, I wasn't sure on that. When I glued the tinfoil down on that video, it was a different glue. And he did ask if, which I did never try, if the LimeLine sizing glue for the leaf would work for that. I kind of guessed it would. I didn't want to say yes, but it sounds like it worked out for him, which is great. Not very many people have done that tinfoil paint job. Well, I would say I think I've seen it maybe 6 or 7 times so far. Maybe a little, because that guy in the guy in China, is it China or Japan? I think it was Japan actually. He remade another video. He gave me credit for that tinfoil, but he did it on a set of rims, which was pretty awesome. I don't know how durable that is, but I showed you that, right? I think I did show you that. No? Oh, it's, yeah, I showed you. You just forgot. I know I've showed you. It was hilarious.
Yeah, I showed you. I just forgot. Okay.
Okay, that's looking good, right?
Yeah.
So far, so good. Let's get the. So I think we're done with that. We're gonna go ahead and move to some 16th inch.
Someone said it says Japan. He's doing paint covers too.
Oh, really? Okay, so they know. Paint covers.
That's what it says.
Well, I guess I have seen those covers that slip over top of motorcycle tanks. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and line, like we talked about before. I'm gonna take the 16th inch, and I'm gonna put it out probably about an 1/8 inch or so, and lay it on one side of each of the tape. You can do it on both sides too if you want. But what this does is also gives you something to aim for. Kind of shaky and new, you have, you know, you can mess up about a 1/4 inch on both sides and still blend it and still make it look good. All right, so we got that one. Let's go ahead and
So Josh wrote, having a bike night locally.
Here says having a bike night locally. Thoughts on painting some helmets and a set of tins to showcase work and sell. Thoughts on rather worth the risk and investment. Didn't know if you done or others have.
Well, you know what? If you're new and you're looking to add to your portfolio, I would do it for sure. It seems like helmets would be a good way to go because a lot of bikers wear helmets, so that'd be a good way to showcase your work and still be able to maybe sell something. Yeah, I'm not the best one to ask for that because I never really want to sell my stuff when I go to shows. I never really have anything for sale, but yeah, some people kill it though. There's some guys I know, they'll make up a grip of stuff like custom painted panels, skateboards, mini fridges. They do all kinds of stuff, and he sells it all out. Makes all his money. So it works for some people if they have that kind of attitude to go out and sell. I never was a very good salesman. I always made my money just painting for customers, showcasing my work and then trying to book jobs. And that way you can kind of advertise, you're doing you're working hand in hand with the customer. So that's of more value, if you ask me, than if you were just to sell a helmet or something like that. I mean, it's going to cost somebody more to get a custom painted helmet painted their way to their particular styling and how they want it, or, that should cost more. So keep that in mind, usually you can make more money by maybe just gaining a client to do their work rather than painting stuff. What you need anyways, you got to showcase your work. So I'd say do it. If you want to sell it, try to sell it. If you don't, try to do a job. And it's not that hard. There's a lot of customers out there that don't even know they want custom paint yet until they see it. They'll see your work and like, damn, actually I have a Harley. The paint's pretty old on it and there's this dent, so I had to paint it anyways. So might as well go with a custom paint job. And they didn't even know they needed or wanted a custom paint job until they saw your work. So you can just create your customers just by doing that, going to bike rallies and posting on Instagram, other social media networks. Definitely helps a lot. Putting yourself out there, saying your books are open. People don't know, Put some scarcity to it. Say, books open for, this week only, booking for, this next 3 months in advance, 2 openings left. But yeah, try that.
Someone said, have you ever had an issue with people copying your paint job since you post videos with all the steps? I asked this because I'm copying one of your jobs on a spare set of tins to lockdown technique.
Yeah, badass. Yeah, but it's not an issue. I guess the best way I can say.
People copy you, but no, it's not an issue.
Exactly. Yes, it's a compliment actually. So I see it all the time. And sometimes I'll have to double look and I'm like, wait a minute, did I paint that? And I'm like, that looks like my paint job, but that's not me. It looks damn close. There'll be those little things that are a little different, obviously. I would recommend maybe, do it the same. I mean, that's if you're new and it's like one of your first ones, do it exactly the same. That way, you can get it done and do the techniques and get the steps down and get the right. So yeah, you just do it. But then after a while, maybe you'll find a stencil that you like to use, or maybe you'll bend the tape and maybe overlap a tape in a certain way that's a little bit different that you seem to like. Oh, it's really about experimenting, like I'm doing here. I've done this particular design before. I thought I might do it this way. I thought maybe I wouldn't do it this way. But I always try to do it different than the next go around. especially when it comes to tape. Because you can just pull the tape if it doesn't look good. I mean, you could tell when it's taped up if it's going to look good or not. And it's easy enough just to pull the tape and try something else. But yeah, I think what gets copied the most is like a lot. Like I didn't make up any of this stuff either. Like I didn't make up Silverleaf. I didn't make up panel graphics. I didn't make up lace. I didn't make up fish scales. None of that's really mine. I think the only thing I really made up was the tinfoil. But other than that, all these are just techniques that people have used in the past. And then I've just combined them together to kind of create my own style, which is always evolving into something else. And it always should be. You know, I like to do different styles of graphics. This is a fun one to do. I like mini truck style graphics too. I like, I like airbrush graphics. You know, it just depends. All right. Okay, I think, wait a minute. I got those done. Looks like I got one more right here. All right. Those are done.
Josh Hanna, he's the one that asked you about putting the helmets and stuff on showcase. He said, awesome, thanks for the advice and ideas, and gave me $50 super chat.
Oh, badass, dude. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks, Josh.
Yeah, that's awesome. I appreciate you guys doing that, really. I hope that this really helps, you know. Hit me up anytime too if you get stuck, or I don't know, maybe something happens to the paint where it just does something weird and you need to figure it out. I don't know everything, but I've been through a lot. Dang, that quit raining fast, huh?
Yeah, we're just dumping us. It's following us.
All right, we'll go ahead and do this last one. Looks like this will be our last one. Trim there, trim the bottom. Okay. Damn, I think we got it. Yeah, I think the only ones we're not going to line with the 16th inch are these outside edges right here, and then these little scallops we kind of did up the side. Okay. I think we're ready to start spraying here. All right, I took some black base coat. It's just a solvent base. This is LimeLine black base coat. Currently it's out of stock at the moment. Like we talked about earlier, this will be back in stock mid next month. But there we go. So this is reduced with urethane reducer. All right, back to the Iwata Neo. We tried to use something a couple weeks ago. Didn't work out. Got the trusty old Iwata here. We're going to take our black base coat. Go ahead and flip on this fan. Let me show you guys something. Almost forgot. Check this out. Boom. And look at this. It's a regulator. It's an airflow regulator. We can go ahead and, instead of going all the way to the compressor over there to knock this air down, we can just go ahead and turn our valve here. Which way? Okay, there we go. There we go. Turn it just exactly where we want it. We're going to go full pressure, though. We're about at about 19, 20 PSI. Once again, talked about earlier is I'm able to, like, by putting the two tapes next to each other, like with an 1/8 inch gap, is I have something to aim for right here, and I don't have to be like super accurate. And if you're new, usually when you're spraying these lines down, you're kind of like wobbly because you're hovering across, and it's unnatural to draw hovering across, you know, like this with an airbrush. We're actually not touching anything. If you pencil or drawing any other way, you have some kind of a friction, you have a point of contact there. So having an airbrush, it makes it a little more difficult. So people tend to like kind of veer off a track. So by having the double lines there, it kind of allows that to still happen, because all we're doing is filling that in solid and then blending out on both sides. Now, the more accurate you can be, the more tighter the blends can be. So close and not have to rely on such a huge blend. And I mean, it's still going to look great, but I would rather keep more of the metal flake and have a shorter blend that's nice and tight, and it looks, you know, looks nice and even. But if you were just to run one line and try to run that one line, you're kind of going to be off on both sides if you're new and you don't have a whole lot of airbrush control. So hopefully that helps. That's the reason for the double lines, besides the fact that I feel like it just looks better. It kind of fancies up the lines anyways by using the 1/8 inch and the 16th inch. You could also use the 1/4 inch, 1/8 inch, and the 16th inch, or you can use both of those, one for another, or whatever, however you want to do it. But generally starting with the thicker tape and moving down, and using the thinner tape to kind of accent those lines.
I'm gonna ask what you're gonna do in that section.
This rear section, I was planning on doing like a silhouette of a Marilyn Monroe, maybe. We'll see.
think it would be awesome if there was a TiMe Discord channel, subreddit, other forum for people to type in suggestions for each other.
Yeah, what do you say, Discord? I plan on doing something like that. I do have an outline of a course that I've been working on. It's still going to take me a while, but I do want to create a full course that will explain, everything start to finish. That's that will kind of expedite things. But I would like to have a Discord with that. So a place and people can get together, talk about ideas and figure things out and get ideas, ask questions, all that good stuff. But yes, that's a great idea. I wish I had the time to do more stuff like that. I would be interested if people wanted to maybe do some kind of a trade for materials that would could run something like that. It could be a moderator, I guess, would be the best term for that. But somebody's interested in that, hit me up. I would, if you wanted to moderate something, I would definitely be down to reward somebody for doing that. Once again, just filling in the inner line right here, filling that in solid.
candies are out yet?
Shortly after the 15th of next month. So I would say about the 20th of next month, the third week, you should see them. We'll have a red, blue, and gold candy. There'll be instructions on how to mix those to make the purple, the green, orange on there. You can make those tertiary colors. We'll also have a candy black as well. So what I'm using right here is a pigmented black. We will have a candy transparent black that will still darken your edges, but will still add transparency underneath your black. It's very subtle, but it makes a big difference.
I'm gonna ask, do you ever use any other color for shading besides black?
Sometimes I'll use purple. Sometimes I'll use red if I plan on using gold or something else. Usually it's whatever my darker color is. But most of the time I would say it's black. I like the contrast of the black.
Will you have bundled or set deal for all the colors?
Yep. Yeah, you'll be able to bundle all four of the candies. You'll also be able to buy them separate, or you'll be able to bundle them with the inner coat clear as well, clear base coat. And then I'll also have some bundles with regular clear coat as well.
Does the candy black look similar to 50-50 mixed black and clear base?
No, because even that it's kind of a more of a muddy look. It's kind of transparent, but it's kind of really not, you know. It's still not transparent. It's still a pigment. So when you do cut it down with clear base coat, drip some paint there. When you do cut it down with clear base coat, it does make it more transparent, but it's not really transparent. If that makes sense. So there's a difference there. God, this big old thing. Almost done. Got this little back section to do.
And I said, so you use a dye for candy black or just pop back on? Sorry if I missed it.
This is a regular pigmented black that I'm using here. But yes, we will have a black dye candy paint. And really, to be honest with you, I've never really used that was the first time I really used a candy black. And I was kind of skeptical because I've used stuff in the past that said it was candy black and it wasn't. And I tested some stuff. They had a candy black, and I'm like, okay, let me test this stuff. And sure as shit, it's transparent. I laid it down with a gun, 4 full coats. I mean, it's super dark. I mean, it's going to restrict light pretty quick, but it still is transparent. And that basically you're going to get edges that are dark like this, but still will have a sparkle to it, which is pretty cool. I've used it a couple of times. Shoot, I probably could have used it on this because I do have that sample still. Maybe I'll do it on the next one. But I'll break that out. That way you can see it before we actually even have it. See what it does. Maybe we can even compare it to the regular pigment like we're doing here. Both are good ways. Both ways work. Just having that little bit of transparency still within this stage, it makes a little bit of a difference. All right. She looks like I got it. Nice. I'm going to go ahead and over reduce this a little bit.
Say I lay out a whole coat of graphics but don't like it. I'd rather start over. Suggestions.
If you're already to the painting stage and you don't like it, yeah, start over. Yeah, especially if you plan on, I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. I've started over on a lot of stuff, especially when it's your own bike, because you're the one that has to come up with the idea and you're the one that has to like it. So sometimes you can be so torn. Sometimes simpler is better when you're new. Less is more kind of a thing. You don't need to pull out all your tricks on one paint job. You know, save some out of the trick book for another paint job. You know, don't do everything you know on one panel. I see it all the time. I've done it. You know, just like this thing. This thing don't need fish scales and cubes and you know, any other. You know, it doesn't need everything we know how to do on this thing. It just needs whatever patterns and lines are going to complement the bike and the style that you're going for. This candy that I'm using, or this black that I'm using right here is over reduced, and I'm kind of just fading the lines. I'm aiming actually not for the center anymore, but I'm aiming it more towards the edges. Okay. I think we're going to lay out some. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to lay out some lace on where are we at on time right here? So that way I know if I'm going to be getting to the leaf or not. Hour and 16? Oh, that's not too bad. Okay, so we'll go ahead and I'm going to mask some of this off right here. So we'll grab some tape.
You said okay, Ashley, where you at with the hoodie situation?
Aha.
Well, guess what?
Well, and they're not hoodies though.
Yeah, they're not hoodies, they're shirts.
Although we could probably do hoodies with that pattern too, though. You know that?
Yeah. So when we were in New York, I told him, "Hey, we got to work on this." So he created me the pattern because I had to wait for him to create a design. And I actually just emailed the guys, and they said it's going to take 10 to 12 weeks to make the shirts.
Oh, really? Did they say that would work though? They don't know.
Well, they say that the design team will look at it and see.
Oh.
But they say from start to finish and to get them in our hands is about 10 to 12 weeks. So I did it. I did the shirt part. I did it.
Don't let her fool you, Larry. I spent all morning on that. It was, yeah. It'll be cool.
Yeah, so they're coming. But they're
They're work shirts.
They're work shirts, yeah.
They're a nice work shirt. They're going out
and then
and working shirt.
Probably towards the end of summer.
Yeah, towards fall. That's when you do hoodies.
Yeah, then I'll get the hoodies going. So I'll start looking and start getting those going. She said, "LOL, I was debating on asking about the hoodies, but I seen Larry pop up with a question. Didn't want to get around up." I knew you guys were going to ask me, so I had the heat on Adam. Like, come on, they're going to ask me. I'm waiting on you. So
I fulfilled my part of the bargain.
Yep, you did. So they're coming.
Yeah, I want one too, though, actually. So they're going to be awesome. The work shirts are going to be awesome. Okay, so we're going to lay out some lace on this guy, just in these two panels here.
Someone said, "What's the temperature in your shop right now?"
It's about 70, maybe a little under. It's really hot right now. I'm burning up.
I'd say, yeah, it's probably like 68 because I'm not too hot, but I'm a little cold.
You have the AC on right there.
I know. I feel it. Someone said, "How many different paint projects do you have going all at once normally?"
A lot. But you know, because I kind of do in between stuff on jobs. I don't do a whole lot of customer stuff anymore, but I was always doing at least 2 jobs at once because you have dry times. Sometimes customers they hold you up. You know, usually there'll be one that's like maybe like almost done, and then it's just waiting on a few things that, you know, has to dry. You have to cut and buff it, and then you're already kind of prepping the one next. So yeah, between 1 to 2, sometimes 3, but usually not 3. If I'm doing 3 jobs at once, it's because... So I'm gonna go ahead and prep these real quick. Now I'm doing 3 sets right now. But yeah, it's kind of the way it goes.
He said, "LMAO. Awesome paint. Can't wait until next year."
Well, that's the reason. That's how we keep you here, Larry. We need all of you, all 92 of you. We need you here. Okay. Let me take a glance at this. I'm gonna put my finger right there, hold it in place. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. There we go. I'm gonna be more dramatic about that. Ready?
Yeah.
Like that? Wow. Okay. Looking good. Let's go ahead and pull this masking tape here. We're not new. Like I said, less is more, especially on this thing. We're going to keep it at the lay. Oh, we don't want to pull that off yet. Pretty much doing the lace, and we'll go ahead and lay the leaf out on this thing too, because it looks like we're going to have the time to do it. So lucky for you, you're going to be here for, if you want to catch the end of this thing, another half an hour or so. We're going to, and it'll take us to lay out this leaf right here, but we'll pull these for now.
Larry said, you both are probably wearing hoodies. No, we're
We
not.
do have LimeLine hoodies, though. He is right.
Yeah, we do have LimeLine hoodies that I made with the damn
By hand.
the damn cricket thing. That would take me freaking
Cricket and an iron. That's
God,
old school.
damn, that take me so long.
That's old school.
But they are like 2 years old.
Yeah, they're old. Mine's shrunk.
Someone said, if you had to pick one thing in the custom paint business, what is the most lucrative and time efficient?
That's a good question. I guess it kind of, I mean, for everybody's going to be different because they're good at different things. I know that people can make really good money painting helmets because you can paint all kinds of different helmets, race car helmets, motorcycle helmets, helmets for any, all kinds of stuff, motocross. But I feel like the most lucrative would be painting smaller parts, like tank and two fenders for Harleys. I like to stay away from baggers. They take too long, and it seems like you just don't make anything by the time you're done. Chopper tanks with a rear fender, they're quick and easy. You can usually make a few $1,000. You can knock those out quick. But I say tank and two fenders. Anybody that says they have a soft tail or they have a Sportster or a Deuce or a Fat Boy or anything without bags, those you can knock them out quick and make some pretty good money. So I think that's where that would be the most lucrative. At least it has been for me, because you're talking maybe $2,500, $3,000, tank and two fenders, depending on what you're doing. You can knock that out, and if you're good, a week. Could be less, could be 2 weeks if you're not trying to hurry. Okay, we're gonna get to it. We'll start some. Let me get some thinner tape here.
Someone said, what type of paint do you use again to get that flake that really shiny? That real shine. Really shiny.
Oh, how do you get the flake to shine? So we'll clear coat this after we're all done. Once we clear coat it, this is going to shine all back up. But we do that with a paint gun. We don't do that with an airbrush.
Larry said that helicopter flight was awesome in New York.
Yeah, that was cool.
It did. It gave me a double chin video. I hate it. Freaking hate it.
That's why I put it up there.
Whatever.
Babe, you need to chill out about that.
Oh my god, jeez. That's a bad angle. Put the phone up. Nate says, I see you both have pigments. Have you ever used a water-based medium with them? If so, what medium have you used?
They are water soluble. To be honest with you, I have not used them in any water-based clear. But I'm suspecting they would work just fine. I know they work for other companies where they sell it and do the same stuff. Shouldn't be a problem. We use solvent-based here most of the time, almost all the time. Works well with that.
What size needle are you running in your airbrush gun?
If I'm not mistaken, it's a 0.35.
Someone said a while ago you painted a hockey goalie's helmet. I'm curious how that paint job held up to Puck smacking it at 70 miles an hour.
That's my buddy. That's his helmet. Yeah, I don't know if he actually uses it in gameplay or not. But probably not good. I don't know. But I think it would be okay if it's not good. I mean, it's not going to like shatter. But even if you had a nice paint job that was beat up on a hockey helmet, it would still look pretty good. And I think most people really wouldn't even care. But that's it. I should ask him what he's. I'm guessing it's on his shelf though. If I remember, I don't think he was going to use it.
Someone said, "What about mica in clear?"
In clear coat? Yeah. You can use it in clear coat. Just remember, if you're going to use any kind of pearls or micas or anything like that, metallics, in a clear coat rather than a clear base coat or inner coat clear, because it's different. Because clear coat, 2K clear coat is a top coat that has two components that mix together, and it goes on wet, really wet, and it stays wet and it takes time to dry. Base coat's not the same. Base coats and inner coats, they go on, they go on wet, obviously, because they are wet, but you're not really laying them out to where they lay out really wet. We're just laying it out to get the material down to change the color. So with that in mind, when you have things like micas or pearls or metallics suspended in a clear coat that kind of, like I said, it sprays wet and it kind of levels out and it shifts around and it could run, those metallics and stuff will move along with it. So if you just, long story short, don't run anything. Don't apply it too thick. You would want to definitely spray it on the lighter side to start, and then make sure that you're building up tack coats over the top before you lay down really wet coats of clear, because it's going to move on you. And if it moves on you, you're going to be able to see it, because it'll make like you have to actually do it to know, but it makes like a streaking, not a good effect. It'll ruin your paint job. So in fact, I do have a story of back when I was younger. I was at a body shop and we used to rent the paint booth out. We had a college kid that wanted to paint his I don't know, it was like an Intrepid or something back then. That's if you remember those cars. But he wanted to do, it was white and he wanted to do a purple on it. And that's what he did, is he mixed it up with his clear coat. He scuffed the whole car down, masked it up, scuffed it down, cleaned it. It was looking good. He put that, so he mixed up, a couple of quarts of 2K clear coat, mixed those components in there with it, which is, I think, it was just a purple pearl. Laid it out, looked super good, kept laying it out wet, ended up running in a lot of spots, and it just ran all of that pearl everywhere, and you could tell it just looked like garbage. Not good. And then at that point, you just pretty much have to sand it down, rebase coat it, and start over, which I don't know what he ended up doing with that, but it did not look good. But if you would have put it in a clear base coat or inner coat clear, let that set up, and then clear coated it, he wouldn't have had that problem.
Someone said, my silver leafing went great using your videos and products, but I made a sticker on one piece by taping on the top. The fresh third leaf to learn. Yeah,
you got to watch for that. That sucks too, because then you can't really patch it up very good. If you're already, you just re-leaf it again, even if it's just right on top of the leaf. We'll be leafing this thing twice, one right on top of the other, to make sure that we don't have any burn throughs or anything like that. Okay, nice. Make sure this is clean. So once again, these we'll be selling these quick connects right here with the regulator on them. They'll be available tomorrow on the Instagram. But as you can see, we're just gonna unclip this guy. We have a separate airbrush for the glue. Lock that in. All right. Where's that glue at? Here we go.
Someone says we're going to put lace under the license plate. That's the only thing that shows.
Right here? No, there's something else going to go there. All right, so we have the sizing glue here. This is mixed 50-50 with water. So I already pre-mixed this in the bottle. Actually, this is the one that's already pre-mixed.
Someone asked, do you intercoat clear over art before you 2K clear your cute colors for money?
You can do that. I don't prefer to do that really because I feel like you're just adding more material that you don't need. But I do make sure that the first couple of coats that I lay of clear coat are like what I call and what most people call a tack coat, which is just a couple of really light coats that kind of will bury that candy to keep it from leaching up into your next layers. So usually I'll do 2 tack coats, then I'll do a medium coat, and then I'll do usually 2 heavy coats after that. And that'll make it so you don't have to use that extra intercoat clear on top of that. All right, so we got that loaded up. Whoa, we're leaking here.
You said just tack coat?
Tack coats, light coats to start, because like he was saying, the problem is when you lay down a candy coat and you go to clear coat on top of it and you lay down the clear coat really heavy, what's going to happen is that candy is going to leach up into the clear coat, and it will, like I said, that shifts around. Clear coat shifts around. What's going to do, it's going to move a little bit, and it's going to take that little bit of candy that's mixed in with the clear now, and it's going to shift it up over your lines and your line work, which is going to look like what's the best way to say, like you've seen it before, right? It kind of sags the paint. Totally tell there's a problem. You're not going to get away with it if it happens like to a customer's parts. And it happens a lot. But if you're worried about it, put down some intercoat clear, spray down that first, some light coats, and it will help protect that and create a barrier to help that from happening. But doesn't mean it still won't, though. Just because you lay that doesn't mean it's completely protected. When you're laying this glue down, you want to make sure you're laying it down on top of a smooth surface that's clean, and you're laying it down super thin to start and really even. You don't want more glue in one spot than the other. I'm gonna go ahead and do this section first. That way the glue doesn't set up too much. I feel like this is too long of a strip to have to deal with both sides. So I'm gonna go ahead and lay down the 3 coats I have on this side once it's ready. Seems like it's about ready for another coat. And then I'll go ahead and do that other side. But both of these will be getting 2 layers of leaf. Reason why we're doing that, which is not necessary, but if you want your stuff to look perfect, you want your edges to look nice and clean, it's better to spend the time, put down 2 coats, especially if you're going to be engine turning it later on, that you may burn through in a couple of spots. This will prevent that from happening. You'll have that safety layer down below that will be there if something happens.
Someone said, have you ever brushed on your sizing glue? I thought I came across a YouTube vid where he brushed on your glue. It looked great. It was on a carpet.
Yeah, it wouldn't have been my glue. It's not really brushable. It would be an oil-based glue. So that's a conventional method. I could never really ever get that to work. There's different things. It takes longer for it to dry. I could never keep the glue clean. I can't get the edges to be crisp on the when I do those. Yeah, it's just not easy. The oil-based glue for me, at least.
And then someone said, can you explain how to do water drop effect? Probably gonna try it this weekend. Thanks.
Yeah, so water droplets. Basically, you're just gonna spray out water droplets, make them droplet size. I've seen one person, I think on Instagram, he used like a syringe, and he was able just to place the drops exactly where he wanted it. That was a pretty smart idea, like that. And then you're going to hit it with one angle. So you have all the drops. You're going to hit it one angle with a darker color, usually black. And then you're going to hit it really light on the other highlighted angle. Hit that with a lighter color, either white or like a light silver metallic. And then let those droplets just dry by themselves. Just let them evaporate. So usually it's overnight. You would have to just let those sit. Come in the next day. You're going to want to be really careful about how you wipe it down and stuff like that, because you could end up knocking some of and flaking off some of that paint that was sitting on top of that water. So I would suggest right after evaporating, throw down some clear base coat or inner coat clear, and then top coat it with a clear coat. But yeah, that's how I do it. And you're good to go.
And someone asked, do you offer the leafing supplies in a kit, like glue, brush, roller, leaf?
Not at the moment, but that might happen in the future. The roller and the brush do come together. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and lay out the leafing here. Ooh, we probably need to turn that.
Someone said, do you have any nightmare customer stories?
Ones I like to forget about. Yeah, I think everybody does after 20 years. Yeah, I can't really. I think I did mentally block them out. But yeah, there's been some nightmares where yeah, people literally try to like rob you, they yeah. It's pretty crazy. Just make sure you're up front as much as you can with your customers. If there's problems, like say like there's body work that needs to be done, don't just do it and say, oh, okay, well, I'll just tell them it needed to be done. You got to be upfront with them, especially if it has to do with pricing. Yeah, just be upfront. Don't give them any surprises, especially when it comes to cost. Usually the customers that are like have a vision and they want it just like what they're thinking, it's probably not a good idea. That's usually ends up being a problem customer. But yeah, you just gotta you'll learn, live and learn kind of thing.
What's your thoughts on peeling the tape immediately after the glue, then leaving to get the best edge?
I don't feel like that gets the best edge. Reason being is because kind of once you pull the tape, you're committed to being finished, unless you want to tape it back up again. At least when it's taped up and leafed, you can pull it back a little bit and you could see what's wrong, and like, oh, I might need to leaf this again, you know. So I don't know, it would be fine. I'm sure it's some people might do it that way and it could work better for them. The other thing is, once you lay the leaf down, it wants to stick to everything. Like, even though there's not glue, once you pull the tape and there's not glue, it's still going to want to stick to that clear coat. And it's just hard to get off. All right, we're going to go ahead and take the brush. We're going to pat down those intersections that we have where they splice together. That way we're not wiping away any of the silver that we need. All right. Okay, I got that down for the most part. I'm going to go ahead and spray this other side.
Someone asked where to get the quick connect for the gun.
You're going to be able to get those through LimeLine on Amazon starting tomorrow. They'll be, I think they're only going to be like $9. Free shipping. Super cheap. It looks like I tripped some paint right there. That is not. I dripped a little bit of paint right here. So I'm going to scratch it away. There we go. That way that's not going to, that little bit of imperfection there you wouldn't be able to see that in the leaf. Any kind of minor imperfection, any kind of like a hair or anything that lands in this, it will cause texture problems. And when it comes to spinning the leaf, it could be prone to tearing through, you know, exposing the layer down below, and you don't want that to happen. And once again, make sure you're not over applying the glue. Don't apply so much to where it starts to bead up. You want to keep it nice and smooth and even to where it almost dries once it hits. You really don't want it to puddle up at all. Give this one more coat here in a second. Go. This will be the last coat, and we'll go ahead and get ready to lay that leaf down.
Someone said I currently have to lay down tape lines butting against each other to get even spacing. What's the best way to get to the point where you can freehand tape lines with an even gap?
Yeah. Practice. I would say practice. You'd be surprised. Just keep your eye on that, on the negative space in between, when you're running those gaps. And even if you're off a little bit, you would you're gonna be all right. You know what I mean? So it's not as hard as it looks if you really give it a shot. Even me, like, I'm getting way better at this. See how quick I'm doing this now? Look at that. All right. Once again, make sure you just hit down on those where they those areas where they connect together. And then we'll grab a roller. And we'll roll both these sides down. This is just making sure we have really good contact between the glue and the leaf, which is really important when it comes to your edges and when it comes to spinning it. You want to make sure that you just have a good connection between that, the glue and the leaf.
It says the black candy that you talked about earlier is a straight black or like a deep, deep purple. I've used Createx black candy, but mostly for shading and murdered candy look.
Nope, it's black. That's what's surprising to me. Is that was the other thing is I've tried black candy before, and it was just basically mudded up purple candy. That just didn't seem to be quite right. You know, you expect more out of a black candy than that. So yeah, I mean, it is. It's good. I mean, it's good enough that I was, you know, I could easily left that out of the line and just went with the colored candies, and because I'll have, you know, we'll have the black base coat back in stock again. But man, there's so much opportunities with that black candy, and it makes the paint jobs just look a little bit better. What did I just roll in there? Piece of lint. What the hell? Get those wrinkles rolled out a little more right there.
Will the metal flake show through the black candy?
Yes, it will. Yep. It's very, very slight, but it does. Kind of depends on how much even if you cover it, give it complete coverage, it's still going to show through. You can see I'm making sure that I'm tucking in these edges. I have a lot of people ask me like, okay, well, I got the leaf down, but I can't get my edges to be crisp. Well, that's because you really have to work on it. You really have to get the edges to and push it down with this brush, you can see where it's bridged right here. Want to make sure you get those down. And you got to, even though we're going to leaf this one more time real quick, still have to make sure that you burnish it and wipe it down. See, like there's a little edge right here. It's missing a little bit. We're going to, like I said, we're going to leaf it again, and that's going to take care of those little problems. Okay. All right, I think I can. I did that pretty quick, so I'm going to go ahead and leaf both these and glue and leaf both these sides at the same time, see if I can do it. Maybe load up some more glue here.
Somebody says, what are some things that make you roll your eyes when you see other painters work? Are there any techniques you think are overdone?
Man, not really. I'm trying to think of something. Yeah, I try not to hate on anybody's work, that's for sure, because I know we all start from somewhere. I don't know. Sometimes I can see when people will change a design just because they have flaws. Like maybe they'll put like dots or something, or maybe they'll do like different stuff to hide flaws. And you're like, oh, I know why you did that. But other than that, I mean, I can't think of anything offhand. Sometimes I can, some of the biggest problems I see is people not using enough candy over their flake, and sometimes they look a little dull. Like they're not quite as vibrant as they could have been because they either, maybe they used ready to spray candy that wasn't as potent, or maybe they were just light on the gun. Yeah, I guess that's the only thing that I can see. Like, oh, I could have used more candy, I guess, to make that a little more rich and a little more vibrant. Other than that, I like to look at people's work and see what they do.
Have you ever done a leaf mixture on one half silver and gold spaced out?
No, I haven't. Have I? No, I don't think so. No, that probably look good. I like that idea.
So double leafing the best way to go?
I think so. I definitely think so, because if you have little flaws, which a lot of times that happens, you're able to take care of those little flaws in the second leaf. Like I said, leave it all taped up. You're just leafing and gluing right on top of the other layer. If you're doing a skateboard and it's just a small area, or you can still make it look pretty damn good. Just take your time. But like right here, we have a little chunk missing. I don't know if you can really see it, but little chunk missing. Not sure how that happened. Maybe there was something that flew in right in the glue when I first started gluing it, and wiped it away, and then that chunk just came out of there. That's going to prevent that from showing, because we got another layer that's going to be glued on top of this, which is obviously going to cover that up.
On the second layer of leaf, do you ever offset seams in leaf?
Yeah, that's a great idea. I always try to.
Do you think you'll ever come out with an 800 grit sponge?
Haven't really had, I don't think there's a need for it. Unless somebody thinks there's a need for it, let me know. I feel like a 600 grit sponge is going to do everything that you need an 800 grit sponge to do. But faster. And once again, it's a sponge. It's not really going to burn through like sandpaper. I prefer 600 all around, especially, you know, unless you're going to be buffing. Obviously, use something more like 2000 grit. But yeah, I feel like 600 is a good all around pad. I have thought about finding a 2000 grit pad though. Okay, we got it. Let's check it, make sure it's not too tacky. Oh, there we go. Ready to go.
Someone said I was criticized for not using 800 for wet sanding between coats.
Well, everybody has their own way. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I've used 400 between coats. That's how I used to do it. I feel like that's a little risky though, because if you lay down a metallic over the top, some of those sand scratches could show through. But no, 600 grip, never really had a problem.
Is it okay to mix 2 different brands of clear coat?
No. Well, it depends. If it's already dry, and you scuffed it down and you're ready to re-clear, then yeah, that's fine. I used to do that all the time. I would use the U-pole to start because it's cheaper, and yeah, it's just cheaper and it's not quite as good, but then you could finish it off with something a little nicer. Okay, same thing. We're just going to go ahead and pounce down on those seams before we go wiping them.
said, would you start with you? I think he's saying, would you start with U-Pull or LimeLine?
The LimeLine's going to be better than the U-Pull. More quality clear coat. It's going to be thicker and build faster as well. So yeah, you mean you can use U-Pull before. You know, you just can't use like the hardeners together. You can't use them wet together. They're not going to be compatible. But yeah, you can, if it's dry and you sand it. Some people might tell you different though. They're going to say, no, you got to stick with the same stuff all the way through. But as long as you're not mixing the actual products together wet, then you shouldn't have any kind of problem.
Larry's razzing me about hoodies. Someone said, after getting the LimeLine hook and lube pad under pad, let's see. After getting the LimeLine hook, lube pad, and wet sandy with the 600 grit, I'll never go back to stick-on discs.
Oh, no way. Yeah. It's been a long time since I used those. Yeah. God, you can reuse them if you don't use them all up. You can pull them off and restick them. They work wet. Sandpaper works better wet usually. Faster, you know, especially if you're using the DA sander. As you can see, I'm really rubbing this down and working on those edges to make sure that they're getting pressed down. We're almost done here. We're going to pull the tape and get ready to spin this thing. You going to try another spin, Ash?
No.
Well, you did some on the tank, didn't you?
Yes.
I think I remember you doing that.
Darren's watching.
Oh. Well, we'll do it right front and center so he can see it.
No, I'm not. Someone said, this is how men do makeup. If you pounce on my face with a makeup brush like that, I kick your butt.
It's not working.
Go. Cover it up. So use a U-Pull for metal flake and cover art with LimeLine.
Yeah, you can do that. Yep. Yeah, you're gonna want the UV protection over those candies to help keep those from fading. So you know, and like we talked about before, those clear coat sessions sometimes can add up. You know, like sometimes a lot of stuff will go into the booth 4 to 5 times. But once again, we need to add that depth to help prevent some of the candies and those specialty paints that we use to keep them from fading out.
Are there different ways to spin or design the leaf besides spinning?
Yeah, and we've talked about that a little bit. We haven't actually done any of it, but we've played around with doing some like horizontal lines and maybe even some basket weave we'd be able to figure out, but we actually haven't done it yet. I want to play around a little bit more with that. And if you guys do try it, send me pictures, because really at this point you could do other stuff with this. Would it be better than spinning? I don't know. You have a hard time finding anything better than an engine turn look. because I just think it looks so, I don't know, it looks really classic. But yeah, trying to find something new. Maybe a different look would be awesome too. All right, I'm gonna pay close attention to these edges right now and really eyeball them to make sure that they're stuck down. It looks so far so good. Okay. Yeah, double leafing it, man. That's really, I'm telling you. These lines are going to be nice and crisp. And I'm just looking right here to make sure that you can see if it bridges over or not, or if it tucks into the edge. You have to like literally like go down the line and look at it. Paying attention to the details. You see when I'm wiping, I'm actually pushing the edges of the brush into the edge like that, you know, shoving it down up in there. Oh, yeah, up there. Okay, I think we're ready. I'm going to pull the tape on this.
Huh.
Jeez.
Dang, watch it.
They can see my big mess on the floor. I was just flinging it. I was moving.
Clean up your art area.
All right. Here I am.
What a disaster.
Yeah. Better? Does that look clean?
Nope, I can still see it on the corner of the screen. Someone said making it rain so really packing. That's what he was doing too, literally. He did it, put it on, clean it off.
What the? I gotta make it look a little better. Okay. All right. Let's go ahead and pull this tape. Okay. Just gonna hit it one more time real quick. Get this kind of cleaned up here a little bit. Double checking those edges before we pull off those last green pieces of tape that are kind of holding everything back. Okay.
gonna ask if that's yellow vinyl tape or paper.
It's a paper masking.
I'm gonna ask how they can send you a picture of their artwork. They've been working on a tank that they use everything they learned from. Oh, it just jumped. Yeah, everything I learned from this channel on it.
Oh, dang, yeah. Instagram is the best place to send me pictures.
Is there a technique to pulling tape?
Yes. There is. You want to, and I'm doing it right now. The tape that's edging anything out, you want to pull back and away. So as you can see, I'm pulling this way and this way, and a little bit this way, creating a little bit of an angle right there, 45 degrees or whatever, rather than pulling it back into it. I don't want to do it because if you were to pull it this way, there's a good chance that you could pull up a chunk off that edge.
And someone asked, I've got this issue on my paint jobs where they seem pretty soft. I can make an indentation if I dig my thumbnail into it. Is this normal, or is there a way to make it harder?
So naturally, so I'm guessing it kind of depends on what it is. Base coats really don't get hard like that. If it's a clear coat and it's not hardening up, you could have a problem with the mixture of the hardener when you sprayed it on, or sometimes it just takes 3 to 4 days really to get it to harden up to where it's not soft. Even after a day or two, you'd be able to touch it and feel like it. Like usually what I'll do is I'll take my fingernails and just tap, and you could, once you do that enough, you could feel how hard the clear really is. So it could be that you're just on it a little bit early and you need it to harden up. If that's not the case, something may have been mixed wrong. Or if you're not using like a 2-part component, part A and part B of a clear coat. If you're using a clear coat that's just one part, like out of a can, if you're using anything out of a spray can like that, most likely it doesn't dry all the way. It's not 100% chemically dry. So that could be your problem too. Get some of this leaf off of here. What's that? Yeah, I still got right here. Yeah, I still got a lot of tape. All right, looks like the edges look really good. So I'm just going to brush them, knock down, because sometimes they kind of flare up a little bit on the ends. You kind of just brush that down, brush it off. But yeah, that's a nice clean line we got there. I'm going to go ahead and pull the rest of the tape lines.
Kitty cat ears.
There it is. Does it look off?
Meow. Oh, it's perfect.
Oh, hey. Was that your joke or somebody else's?
Mine.
Oh my gosh.
I'm funny.
Okay. You're punny.
funny.
Pulling off these last few. There's one more right there.
I'm still on New York time.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
Feel tired?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, you're in luck because we're almost done. We just gotta clean this fender up, give it some engine turning.
Aaron said I should do it, but
Yeah, you're going.
no, I'm not.
You're not going to? Too
No.
tired?
Yeah. I have a headache.
Can't spin with a headache.
Not unless you want some cross-eyed spins. Whoa. She's taking it over.
Okay. Are you ready? All right, this is basically this is a LimeLine engine turn spin tool. If you don't have one of these, you can get one on Amazon. If not, a 5,000 pad disc will also work. If you just take maybe a 5,000 grip with your thumb, you could spin it too. You're not going to get quite as accurate as this thing. We can really dial it in and get really nice spins. You could also hook it to a drill if you need to, if you want to. Not necessary. I don't like to use a drill. I like to just spin it by hand. I feel like you have more control, and you really don't need it spinning that fast, if you ask me.
Yeah, I feel like I'd rip right through it.
Yeah, it doesn't, but well, it could. It doesn't. Yeah. But yeah, you see how nice that looks? Let's do another one right here. Oh yeah. Let me get a handle on this thing.
No. Let's see.
Looks like we had a little bit of divot in the. See that right there? That was just a little bit of a divot that was in the finish of this. So it is going to cause a little bit of imperfection, but nothing that's going to be too gnarly. Once again, I'm doing about a 40% overlap. You can do whatever you want, though. You can do 50% overlap. just you do whatever you feel. I feel like keeping the center of it and overlapping a little less makes it look a little better. But like I said, do it how you want it. But there it is. I'm going to leave some of these spins for, I like to do an edited version of these videos. And I like to have a little bit of footage of me spinning with a little bit better quality of footage. So I'm going to leave a little bit of that left. So I'm able to spin that come tomorrow. But there it is. So just to recap kind of what we did. This is LimeLine Metal Flake. That's in a pack. And then it's been cleared over, sanded with 600 grit. We laid out some LimeLine fine line tape. We took black base coat. We reduced it with urethane reducer. We put it in our airbrush. We edged out our fine line tape. And what do we do? We add a little bit of lace there with some curtains. And we laid out the silver leaf on that and started to spin it. So not too bad.
Show it back to you and hold still. Or I guess the front. Is that the front of the fender?
Yeah, this is the front of the.
Where it was in.
Oh, okay. But yeah, so we'll do something else here. I'm not sure. Probably a little bit of a silhouette of something to match the tank. But so far so good. It's looking good. This will get, like I said, we'll finish spinning it tomorrow. We'll put this through a round of clear coat. We'll sand it down with 600 grit again. We'll put some drop shadows down. We're probably even going to layer out some candy on top of the leafing. We're still going to kind of decide that. But yeah, like I said, we don't figure all these out all at once. We just get going, make sure it looks good, and just keep plugging away.
Someone asked where you got that spinner.
So this is a LimeLine spinner. You can get this on Amazon. So you can just search LimeLine leaf spinner, LimeLine leafing supplies, anything like that on Amazon. You'll be able to catch it. All right. I think that's going to be it. Any more questions?
I think that's it.
That's it.
Says looks good. Good job.
All right. That was 2.5 hours tonight. But thanks again, everybody. Appreciate the super chats for sure. But we will see you next Thursday with something else.
Good night, guys. Thanks for being here.
See you guys.